This trader was one of the fastest to ever crack the top 5 on Alertsify. He quit a full-time job at Google and a secure analyst spot in one of the top trading discords in the entire world. Just last month, he generated $80,000 in verified profits. This is FiFi Trades. All right, sweet. So today, who are we here with?
FiFi Trades.
Awesome. And introduce yourself. Pretend like I've never heard of you before.
Yeah,
Who are you? What do you trade? And why should someone actually listen to you?
yeah, absolutely. So first off, my name is obviously not Fifi. The name came from my dog Fiona, who's Fifi, and her name, my Discord name for years was Bad Girl Fifi, named after her, and it kind of just stuck. So been trading for about 6 years now. Most recently, for like the past year and a half or so, I was an analyst in another Discord for about a little over a year, and then after that, I saw that I had a pretty big following, and a lot of the members there, pretty large Discord with like over 10,000 members.
Oh wow.
A lot of the members there were strictly like tailing my trades, right? So kind of thought to myself, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm paying for somebody else's Lambo, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, and branched off, and it started off as I built out an indicator suite, and really the indicator suite came about of like a member asked me like, hey, how did you spot this short in Tesla in late December? Like Tesla's like at 495. Everyone's like, oh, Tesla's going to the moon. It's going to 500, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no. I'm short. So, I kind of just laid it all out for the member. And I was like, you know what? Like all this is in my head. Like there has to be a way to kind of visualize this for somebody. So from that, built out an indicator suite. And then that was like step one of TQE, the Trade Qualification Engine. And then from there, kind of grew into like a full-blown Discord with about 500 members right now and growing and
Nice.
within like 6 months. But yeah, I trade options. The good thing about me, and I think why people gravitate to trade with me, is that I'm not a perma bull. I'm not a perma bear. I know how to trade both sides of the market, which I think is really the true edge, being able to adapt, because otherwise, like, you're either bleeding or you're just sitting on the sidelines with cash, when really I thrive in the volatility. Like when there's volatility in the market, that's when I have like my biggest paydays.
Awesome. So you were actually at Google and a lead analyst, like you said, in one of the top Discord groups at the time. What was juggling both of that at the same time like?
Yeah, so I actually just put in my resignation to Google 2 days ago.
Oh
I'm
wow.
actually going into the office tomorrow to drop off my hardware. It was, I was definitely juggling a lot. With trading, first I was trading a lot and then becoming an analyst. And then I was traveling a lot for work too, because I'm in
Mhm.
sales. So I was on the road maybe like 2 weeks out of the month. Um, and there's definitely times that I was on an airplane to San Jose to the mothership, as I like to call it, and I didn't have Wi-Fi on the plane, and I
Mm.
would see, or like it would be shoddy Wi-Fi, and I'd see like my account. I'm like, oh, I'm up 50,000. I need to sell, and I couldn't execute anything,
Oh.
right? So um, by the time I landed, a lot of those gains round tripped,
Mhm.
unfortunately. So
Dang.
it definitely makes it fun to juggle. I'd have at home, I have my trading setup here, and then this side I had my work laptop, right? So felt like I was living two lives, because a
Right.
lot of my coworkers didn't know, and I would make sure in the mornings that I schedule all my meetings with my customers. I'll make sure like the first 2 hours in the morning I had no customer meetings, and then the last hour of market close I had no meetings.
Mhm.
So in the middle of the day is kind of like the chop zone. Anyways, you don't want to be trading.
Yeah, for sure. And what was that final moment that you're like, okay, I'm gonna quit this. I'm gonna go all in on the trading.
Yeah, I kind of realized that I can't do both like 100%,
Mhm.
right? I'd either be slacking on my job or I'd be slacking in trading. Like I need, over like the past like 2 weeks or so, I really focused on the trading, was really honed in, and I saw like, man, if I'm dedicated to this and I like put in the time, I'm doing really well, right? And also, I want to build my community, and start mentoring members there as well. So that was important to me, to kind of know how to talk with my wife. Obviously, I'm not. a 23-year-old kid out of college, right? I have a family, I have a kid,
Yeah.
I have a lot of responsibilities. So, I had to sit down and like look at the numbers, and sometimes you have to take a risk on yourself.
Sure.
And the one thing I like to say is like I always tell her like we actually moved from LA to Austin like a year and a half ago, and I was like, we'll figure it out. And it's like we always figure it out, right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of blessed in that sense.
That's awesome. And then TQE, so that's your Discord and that's also your trading system, right?
Yeah, it's my Discord, TQE Trade Qualification Engine. It's like a suite of indicators, to spot intraday setups, to spot swing reversals. There's the 30-minute pivot indicator, which I actually use as my trading strategy to kind of find reversals,
Okay.
like long reversals. And yeah, we have that in there. We also have like GEX summaries. It's a full-blown Discord at this point.
Nice. Awesome. And you said how many members are on there?
There's about 500 members in there.
Okay, cool. And then what brought you on to Alertsify specifically? What kind of interested you in that region?
Yeah. I'd always see EM calling out people on Twitter, and challenging them. And I remember he called out one person, and I was like, dude, like, and I like saw his challenge results. I'm like, this is a joke. Like
Yeah.
his profit factor is nothing. Like his average loss is 10,000. His average win is 2,000. This guy's charging $1,500 a month. I think we know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
I definitely do.
And I was like, hey, I volunteer myself. Like I want, like, put me on. I want to, like, because I knew, like, obviously there's ups and downs with trading, right? No one's perfect, but kind of what I was known for in the other Discord is like, I would find those massive setups that would be like 500, 600, 1,000% wins. And my win-loss ratio is pretty good too. So that put me on. I was like, this is cool. And then also once I dug into it a little bit more, I'm like, man, this could be really useful for people, because a lot of the members say, hey, I missed that. Like you alerted something and I missed it, right? Or like you're too quick on the fill and I missed it. Especially like in a volatile market where you're like scalping or day trading. So that kind of, I was like, this is going to be a value to my members. And then also the fact of, the biggest pain I think with like running a Discord and like firing out alerts is, sitting there typing it out in real time.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting there like, I'm entering PLTR 130 calls, blah, blah, blah. And like by the time I do that, the price moves. And like by the time that happens, it's late to the members. So being able to automate that for me was of huge value, right? Like that alone for me, I was like, I'm sold.
Awesome. And then so let's go back through some of the history. Tell me about one of your best trades. Set the scene, walk me through it beat by beat, and tell me, what it printed and how did it feel afterwards.
Yeah. My best day, this is what I mentioned. I started trading like in 2020, where I think most people did, right? You have like this extra stimulus money from COVID and whatnot. And it was like early September. Trump put out a tweet like the night before that the market's at all-time highs. I front loaded some puts because I think the market was just like hitting into resistance. And looking back at it right now, SPY was like at 330, which is crazy. Right now we're more than double of that. And the next day I was irresponsible, right? I was young, didn't have a kid at the time. And I kind of realized like, I went pretty heavy. I had about $200,000 in short dated puts.
Wow.
And that day I made about 700,000.
Oh wow.
That day.
That's crazy.
So I have a screenshot of it and like all this stuff. And it was like posted on Instagram because I was a Discord member elsewhere, and they kind of blasted it up. But yeah, that was that, like, looking back, like obviously that kind of taints you as a trader. You're like, oh, it's just easy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm gonna do 0 days all the time, right? But that was that was probably like the coolest moment I think for me.
Yeah, do you think taking that big risk and like, actually being rewarded from it, did that kind of mess with your strategy a little bit afterwards?
100%, yeah. Because I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say like I gave some of it back afterwards,
Yeah.
right? But I gave some of it back actually, and then bought a house with the money
Oh, nice.
in LA. So, but yeah, definitely because once you see it work once, like, oh, it's going to work again, right? And it could definitely burn you. So yeah, it not something I recommend, but that's obviously one of my earliest memories and like best memories with trading.
Awesome. And so speaking of losses, right? How do you handle a big loss now compared to when you first started?
Yeah. Before I would probably be like in my car screaming or like yelling at the desk or laptop. Now, something I tell my members is like, don't get FOMO. Like there's literally opportunity every day in this market. Like literally every day or like, twice a week, you could find massive, massive winners. So, if there's a loss, I kind of obviously want to look back and, back test and see like, hey, what did I do wrong? What did I miss? What can I have done different? And then from there, just like, as long as for me, as long as I stick to my rules and actually have like a sheet that about like 4 weeks ago, I put on my screen next to my chart. That's like my daily rules of like, hey,
Is it
follow
is it
like
like printed out or is it like it's on the screen?
it's on the screen. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm more of a screen guy than a printed guy.
For sure.
But yeah, it's kind of like, hey, X amount of trades at a time. Don't revenge, don't FOMO. Like, I read it every morning before I trade, and now I have it on my screen. So as long as I stick to my rules, I can handle a loss. If I
Okay.
don't, and if no one's perfect. Like I'm like, there's sometimes that trading's emotional. A lot of it is psychological and discipline. It does happen where I break it, and I'm like, all right, I will actually like put myself in timeout, and I've done it before with the group. I'd be like, hey guys, I'm taking the day off like tomorrow. Like I'm
Mhm.
not trading because I just know I need to get my head right.
So you said you have it on your screen. Do you mind actually like sharing your screen and showing us? Is that
Yeah,
something you can do?
yeah.
Cool. And then also, if you want to like pull up your trading view, you can show off your indicators and kind of walk us through maybe just a recent trade that you took. Yeah, just kind of walk us through the rules and what made you, decide on these certain rules.
Yeah. Because so I came up with this and I was like, I think May, and you guys have it in record in Alertsify, right? May was probably like one of my worst months, and when I say worst, I was still positive, like 1,500.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, I got sloppy, and I think like just took a look at like the trades I was taking and realized, hey, like where did I mess up? And I was like, all right, I know what to do. I just need to have it in front of you sometimes, right?
Mhm.
Because in the heat of the moment, when your fingers on like the buy and sell button on the trigger, you do irrational things at times. So I actually put this in effect on. You could probably tell by my Alertsify on like June 13th, and after June 13th, I had like 3 weeks of green.
Yeah, you killed
Um,
it. I
yeah,
remember checking it
yeah,
out.
yeah. So it's really I realized, right, and yesterday was Wednesday and it was a rough day for me, so I kind of broke it. But
Mhm.
the biggest thing for me was like I look back, looking especially with Alertsify, I could see, hey, Wednesdays for me are historically bad, right? And typically, Wednesdays are when there is a reversal in the market, so I'm doing something wrong. So it's like, all right, number one, size down on Wednesdays, right? It is the worst day for you. And then something else I realized is like after a big win, like a big day, like if I win 40, $30,000, I have a tendency to give some of it back the next day, right? So, no trading or size down the next day after a big win. Try not to trade the first 15 minutes, right? Let the dust settle from there. No trading during any major events like FOMC. Let the volatility happen and then enter. And then no revenge trading. And then kind of getting into the execution rules, A plus setups, right? And that's which I'll show you the indicator, right? It's a grading score, right? So we'll say like, hey, this swing is an A plus, this intraday trade is an A plus or not, right? So A plus setups. And something I like to tell like the analysts that I have in my group as well is like, hey, if you're not willing to put $20,000 on the line on this trade, don't alert it out to the members,
Yeah.
right? Like it needs to be a solid trade. Um, making sure I don't have multiple day trades open at a time. Swing trades I'm okay with, but day trades like obviously need to be zoned in, and then scaling into a position, right? Like add in or start with like a quarter or one half, and then once you get confirmation, add the second half. Making sure you have a stop loss, no oversizing, moving my stops up after I take profit. And then the biggest one, scroll down a bit, right? Like for me is like you get paid to wait, right? Like you need to wait there again, sit there and wait for those A plus setups. And then at the bottom, I have, a reminder, your family's counting on you, right?
Yeah.
Like I just quit my job at Google, so there's no messing this up for me, right? So just a daily reminder of like, stick to this. If I stick to this and I lose, okay, I can move on with it.
Awesome. Yeah, those are really good rules.
Yeah.
And then if you want to kind of show off your trading suite, your all your indicators and stuff.
So, all right, the first one I'm showing you is TQE Intraday, and this essentially is like looking for those intraday levels to enter, right? And big thing for me is obviously day trading, scalping when depending on the conditions, right? And this works both on the bull side and bear side. But basically, what we're looking at here is it's grading it for a score, a letter grade, right, based off 8 different conditions. And going back to like the Tesla trade in December when I shorted it, like intraday, the key levels for me that I look at and that are important are last week's high and low, Monday's high and low, the previous day's high and low, pre-market high and low. Did it break the 15-minute orb? We have the retest here. That's optional, right? Is it above the 9 EMA on the 5-minute chart? What does the extension look like? And is it above or below VWAP, right? And typically, these are all things that you would have to manually go through. Like, if you're going through and like, hey, I'm gonna trade SPY, you manually go through most of them and like mark out previous day, last week, right? And this for me is like, okay, it's plain and simple, red light, green light. Hey, okay, all conditions meet. Look, like this is Dell today, right? So it triggered, let me go to 5-minute. So like Dell triggers here when it breaks the orb, right? And, does come back and test, comes back and test, but ultimately goes higher. So this could work obviously on the bull side and bear side. I have members that, and this is fully customizable. So I could go in here and turn off that I don't want to use. Sorry. Oh, it's this one. Sorry, one of them is the alerting engine. That I don't want to use last week's high or low, and I don't want to use Monday, right? I don't care about those. So then it changes it here based off that to give you that grade. So like if you're one of the trader that only cares about the pre-market and the pre-market and the orb, it'll let you know, and it also fires off alerts too for your watch list.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, so this is kind of like zoomed in like what I use for entries, and then from there I also have the trend spine, which is something cool. Hide it, right? And it's basically letting you know the direction of the market, right? And just like, hey, don't fight the trend on the stock. So here we zoom out on, where'd you go? There. So as long as the spine stays green, that means, right, the buyers are in control. When it starts getting orange like this, that means that there's chop there, right? And then we also have, because my candles are black, right? So let me go further back on Dell, which hasn't been black in a while, right? It means that's in a downtrend, right?
Gotcha.
So this is on a daily. You could use it on the 15-minute as well. And I have a lot of members that actually use this intraday instead of an EMA. They'll use the trend spine here as like, hey, does it retest it? Does it break it? Okay. And then here, if it breaks it, I'm out. And then also we'll let you know, like it'll put out topping signals, right? So a T means, hey, it's potentially topping. A T in a confirm check means that this is topped, right? And to look for a downtrend to get out, right? So again, just kind of like giving you hints on the conditions of a ticker. Here you see here, like we're getting wicks, it's topping here. We got a top here, we got a top here, and then we got a check mark with a top, and boom, it reverses. So this is the trend spine. This one, again, a lot of members just like to use this versus any other kind of indicator that they may use.
Yeah.
And then the one from like a top-down level, which I use as kind of like a scanner, and we actually have this feed alerts, all these feed alerts into the Discord, right? Because I have a master watch list with like 600 tickers on there.
Oh, wow.
So it feeds it via webhooks into the Discord. Is the swing indicator, right? So this is basically more of it works on the daily, and it's giving you a score on the swing side. So go to, let me actually check the Discord here on what fired today, so you guys can see. 30-minute pivot. It's a swing. What got an A? All right, so MS got a Lily. Lily has a 96 score.
Okay.
So if you want to trade Lily, and obviously I've been in and out of Lily, it's kind of kicked my butt this week. Let me turn off the volume. So Lily has. So we're looking at Eli Lilly. It has a 95 score, so it gives it an A qualified. And basically, it's like, hey, it's helping you really scan for those swings, right? This is a multi-day swing, week swing at a time. And from there, what we're really looking for is for the trigger price to be at 100. And once the trigger price is at 100, that means like, hey, it's tightened up, we're getting the compression, and we're ready to go. So it's really just tracking, the impulse of it, the overall structure, and if there's institutional money behind the move as well. And I actually use this. Here, this is a good stock to use it on. I used it on new. If I go probably like right here, probably had a high score, right? I had an 85, 89, and then it takes off, right? So we're just watching for anything over about an 85. We look for alerts on, and then does the same thing on the bull side. And then another one, this is probably my favorite, the one I use every day, is the 30-minute pivot. It's an entry strategy that I use to find reversals midday. And all right, so 30-minute pivot essentially is a way to spot reversals in real time. Basically, what you're looking for is a break of the downtrend. So what you're looking for is the first 30-minute candle that turns green. And what this does is it'll call it out for us, like, hey, this is a reversal here, 30-minute bull pivot. And what you're looking for is on the break of this candle, once it breaks this high, once it breaks the close of this candle, that's your trigger price to enter. And then your stop loss essentially from there will become the low of the day. So it makes it a very asymmetrical trade, right? Where you're able to catch those reversals, especially when breakouts are failing, which tend to be happening, right? So, hey, instead of buying the breakout, we're going to buy the reversal where the buyers step in. And what we're looking for really is for stock with relative strength to pull back into a key level like an EMA or a previous day's support level. So this one's really cool and one that I use mostly daily for entries.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so that was kind of like your whole indicator suite. You said all that comes with your Discord, right?
All that comes with the Discord, yeah.
Awesome.
It started off as just an indicator suite, and then now it's a full-blown Discord with my alerts, GEX summaries. We have flow in there. We do live trading, education material as well.
Sweet. Okay, cool. I think that was a really good overview of kind of who you are and how you trade, and you're definitely you can see it on Alertsify. You're legit. You know what you're talking about. So 2 things I want to end it off on. One, if you were to meet a beginner trader and he's asking you for advice, what is 1 or 2 key things that you would give him?
A new trader. The first thing I would say is it doesn't matter what strategy you have. It really just matters what your psychology and discipline looks like, right? You need to make sure you have that down, your risk management. Because I actually think like, hey, you could sit here and flip a coin and say, hey, are we going to go long or short? And as long as your risk management is as long as your risk management is set up right, you're going to succeed, right? So just make sure that is set up. And then the second thing is don't try to get rich overnight, right? It is it's a slow process. It's a grind. If you make $500 a day, that's $2,500 a week. Right, that's 10,000 a month. That's 120K a year, right? Yeah. So that does add up. I know a lot of people online, like X or Instagram or YouTube, are like flaunting, like, hey, made $70,000 this day, right? Say, don't compare yourself to them, right? Because you don't know like how many years they've been trading. You don't know what their bankroll is. They could be making $70,000 with a $4 million bankroll. Right. Yeah. So, trade your plan and trade, trade your plan and trade your risk management, I should say.
Awesome. And then the last thing, if you're someone new, how would you, kind of decipher who's real and who's not?
Yeah, if it's broker verified, right? That's the real way to do it,
There you
right? You got to
go.
make sure it's broker verified because like you'll have, and there's people that do this online. Like they'll put up a position on from like a Robinhood screenshot, but it's just from their watch list. It's like, hey, this ran, 500%, or
Oh
maybe
yeah,
they
I see
bought
it all the
one,
time.
contract, right?
Yeah.
Like, I like to say, like, I tell my members this, right? It's like for better or worse, like you guys are seeing every trade that I take because before I would gatekeep, right? And now it's like every trade that I take, you guys are seeing.
Yeah.
Like, like it works out, it doesn't work out, but my money's on the line.
Yeah. 100%. Cool. So where can everyone find you? Plug your socials, all that.
If you want to follow me on X, my handle is at FiFi Trades. And then if you want to follow me on Instagram and see a lot of my short form videos, got actual FiFi in here too. It's TQE underscore FiFi underscore trades. And then my YouTube is at FiFi underscore trades, where I actually post my market like outlook every Sunday. So you can see like, hey, what stocks am I looking at? What reversals am I looking at? The big thing that I've caught the past 2 weeks is actually like the rotation out of semis into software and into cyber. Actually, my job at Google was in cyber, so I really stayed ahead of that. So this is where I post a lot of my, educational videos and how to use my indicators and whatnot as well.
Awesome. All right, cool, man. Thanks for your time. Appreciate you coming on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I think we're good.